Henry James once famously said, "Three things in human life are important: to be kind, and to be kind." This morning, we gather once more again in community, lit by our highest aspirations and the soaring sound of our voices in song, but lifted most of all by those three fundamental tasks that move between us and in this place and beyond us. The first is to be kind. The second is to be kind. The third is to be very, very kind.
Shoe for the very first time. Happiness is playing the drum in your own school band, and happiness is walking hands in hand. Happiness is 5 different crayons, knowing a secret, climbing a tree. Happiness is burning a nickel, catching a firefly, setting him free. Happiness is being alone every now and then, and happiness is coming home again. Happiness is morning and evening, daytime and nighttime too. For happiness is anyone and anything at all that's loved by you. Happiness is having a sister, sharing a sandwich, getting Happiness is singing together when day is through, and happiness is those who sing with you. Happiness is morning and evening, daytime and nighttime too. For happiness is anyone and anything at all that's loved by you.
I'm very weepy already today, so thanks a lot, you extraordinarily talented giant goofballs. This morning, to introduce the recipient of our extending the offering generosity, and to help us be centered in the work it is we are continually called to do together. I'm delighted to invite forward our longtime amazing River Roaders Cheryl Dodwell, Linda Ryden, and Quinn Connor to reflect on peace of mind, what it does, what it calls us to do together.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Nancy, for that introduction. I'm Cheryl. As you know, this is Linda. And we are really excited to be here this morning. Today, together, we're going to be thinking about kindness as an act of resistance. This theme resonates so strongly with us personally and also aligns beautifully with the mission of our nonprofit organization, Peace of Mind. And we're up here today, as Nancy said, because we are the sort of humbled and honored recipient of this month's Extend the Offering, and we're so excited to be included again this year. So we're going to share a little bit about Peace of Mind, and we hope you'll be inspired to get involved or support our work a little later in the service.
Hi, everyone. I'm Linda. As you might know, I'm the Peace teacher at Lafayette Elementary School, and I'm also the co-director of Peace of Mind, along with Executive Director Cheryl. And I have spent the last 20 years trying to make the world a kinder place by teaching kids skills to help to build a more peaceful world. And sometimes, somehow, it seems to get harder every year. Sometimes I wake up in the morning and the challenge just seems too great. And what keeps me going, what my act of resistance is to continue to believe that what we have to offer at Peace of Mind really does make a difference. And we really believe that our world needs kids and adults who can face life's challenges with kindness and compassion and courage. And as I say to my students in class all the time, we're here to change the world, people, so let's get busy. So because the needs are so urgent right now, and we're in the middle of a childhood mental health crisis, I've decided at the end of this school year, I'm going to be leaving my classroom, and I'm going to be dedicating myself full-time to bringing Peace of Mind to children all over the DC area and beyond, alongside Cheryl and our small but mighty team. So maybe turn it over to you, Cheryl.
Yeah, sure. So we are really grateful to leaders in the DC public schools, including Melissa Kim, who's a River Roader here today, who've made it possible for Linda to develop the Peace of Mind program in her classroom in a public school for the last 20 years. So we founded our nonprofit in 2018 to begin to share the program more widely. Teachers were asking, they wanted to know how they could do what Linda was doing in her school. So through our program, we've grown from one school to reach kids in over 20 schools in the DC metro area, and then educators in 41 other states and 11 countries have found us as well. So the program is growing. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that. And thanks to our donors in large part, many of you are here today who help us to keep our program accessible and affordable for all who need it. And in the year ahead, we are looking forward to figuring out new ways to bring the program directly to kids and families at home. So stay tuned for more news about a Peace class with Miss Ryden and other digital resources that we hope will be able to help people and families and kids even more broadly. So let's see. For us, doing this work is a way to live our UU principles. We wonder if it might be for you too. If you're interested in getting involved with Peace of Mind as a volunteer or an advisor or in another way, just let us know. We'll be around after the service. We'd love to talk to you or communicate by email later. We really value your support, and we appreciate your attention and your consideration and perhaps your contribution later today. So let me turn it over to Linda for a little bit more about the program.
Sure. We're going to take a look at a video now that gives you a sense of what happens in Peace class every day. So
At Peace of Mind, our vision is that all children grow into kind human beings who can build positive relationships, face challenges with courage and compassion, and make a positive difference in their communities. To achieve this goal, we have created a curriculum that teaches kids about mindfulness, brain science, conflict resolution, social emotional learning, and social justice. Mindfulness is the practice of paying attention to our thoughts, our feelings, and what's happening around us, and putting some space between our reactions and our response.
The world is so stressful, especially now, and sometimes you just need a way to just escape and calm down, and mindfulness can be that way.
We teach kids brain science so that they can understand what's happening in their brains when they get angry or nervous or upset, and how they can use mindful breathing practices to help to regulate their fight or flight reflex.
Flipping your lid is when your amygdala takes over your prefrontal cortex, which is like the leader of your brain. But when your amygdala takes over, either do three things: fight, flight, or freeze. That's when you need to take some deep breaths.
Kids deal with conflicts every day. At Peace of Mind, we teach kids how to use mindfulness and brain science skills to learn how to resolve conflicts peacefully.
You start down at a small problem that can easily be solved, but if you keep arguing about it more and more, you'll get to the top of the conflict escalator.
What's at the top?
Trouble.
Thanks. One of the ways that we help kids develop social and emotional skills is through Kindness Pals. Not only do Kindness Pals give students a way to practice kindness, but they're an essential tool for building a positive and inclusive classroom and school community. In Peace Class, we even have learned a little bit of sign language to help us to talk about our feelings with our Kindness Pals. The fundamental goal of Peace of Mind is to create a more just and peaceful world. And so we teach our students about social justice issues and to learn that they have the power to make change in their communities.
But I am very happy that we are acknowledging that this was a Black family's land.
Let's hear what some Peace of Mind students think about Peace Class.
I don't like Peace Class. I love Peace Class.
But with Peace Class, there's someone experienced who is teaching us how to deal with that stress of everyday life and how to take care of our mental health. I think that's really important for everybody.
There should be Peace Class at every school because it teaches you something that most people don't know. Without Peace Class, school would be chaos. This stuff actually works.
Please support Peace of Mind. Please support Peace of Mind.
Please support Peace of Mind. Please support Peace of Mind.
Please support Peace of Mind.
So thank you so much. So now that you've had a chance to see what happens in Peace Class, we thought we would share a little bit with you. So I'm going to bring up one of my all-time favorite students, Quinn Connor, who's going to help us to lead a little mindful moment. I actually wrote a book that was inspired by Quinn. Hi, Quinn. It's called Quinn and the Worry Channel. It's my 6th book. And It helps kids learn how to use mindfulness to help them manage worries and sleep better. So I'm going to move over here. Is this on?
Shout out to Tanisha and Henry and all the other book people that I forgot about.
Very nice. So this is Quinn. Quinn is going to show you how to do something we do in Peace class called gravity hands. Can you tell them how to do gravity hands?
Yeah. Hi, first. How you do the gravity hands is when you breathe in, you move your hands up. And then when you breathe out, you move them down. And then we do that 3 times, but first we gotta do like a preparation thing. Okay.
All right, so you're going to get us ready to do this together?
Yes.
All right, great.
Please get into your mindful bodies, which is just where you feel relaxed in your bodies. Please close your eyes or look down, whichever works for you, or both. And let's take 3 deep breaths, gravity hands.
Now Quinn's going to ring the bells, and when you can't hear the bells anymore, you can open your eyes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everyone. Now it's time for our first hymn. It's me again. Now I'm going to invite Zoe up. She's going to help me lead our hymn, which is Come and Go With Me. And we hope that you will all join us. You can stand as you are willing and able, and the words will magically appear on the wall. You ready? Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Where I'm bound, where I'm bound. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Where I'm bound. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land. Where I'm bound, there'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land. Where I'm bound. Justice. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land. Where I'm bound, where I'm bound. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land. Where I'm bound. Fantastic.
It is so wonderful that our very own peace teacher was here to guide us this morning, because today our prophetic voices, Time for All Ages, is dedicated to honoring those among us who use their voices and all of themselves to serve us as volunteer teachers in our religious education classrooms. As our RE program grows, the need for teachers grows. This year, 33 volunteers stepped up and showed up to guide and learn alongside our children and youth. During our child dedication ceremonies, which take place right here in this space, we pledge as a community to actively support our children so that they may grow in compassion and dignity and strength. We also commit to nurture them in times of struggle as well as in times of great gladness. By sharing themselves with the children, our volunteer religious education teachers live that active support, that committed nurturance over and over. Today, we honor them and offer them our deepest gratitude.
So we find it important to speak the teachers' names in this space. For middle school, Doran Flowers, Megan Mullen, Carrie Hutchinson, Becky Apanchin, and Gordon Kenny. For OWL, Glenn Pepple and Kate Heston. For the high school youth group, Tim Daniel, Jana Kirkman, and Marianne Crayer. Can we switch the slide?
For Spirit Play, Mike Henry, Lacey Morris, Rose Sokol, Becky Troth. And for elementary school, Ellie Avero-Sturm, Matt Avero-Sturm, Jill Bailey, William Bailey, Chris Calhoun, Andrew Daly, Pete Apanchin, Barb Geiser, Susan Greif, Alicia Kibra, Heather Lang, Heidi Mordhorst, Ilea Sneller, Stuart Weinstein, Walter Weiss, Mandy Wimmer O'Brien, Gary Waddell, Gwen Waddell, and Michael Zlight.
The children and youth who are here today, I'd like to invite children and youth to come forward. You can go on the floor, you can come up here, because you're going to have a line to say. And don't worry, I'll tell you your line, but you need to say it with gusto. Your line is going to be thank you. Don't say it yet. Keep it cool. All of our teachers who are here today, I'd like you to go ahead and rise in body or in spirit. And kids, why don't you stand too? You ready? All right, teachers, we got you? All right, kids, here's your line. Say it all together on 1, 2, 3. Thank you. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Teachers, I invite you to remain standing so that these amazing children can deliver to you a token of our appreciation. Kids, each grab one and take them to the people who are standing. No rush. No, stampeding. There you go. Get a good one. All right. There you go. And if you did not, I see Barb Geiser and Lacey Morris. Somebody take some presents to them. All the way to the back. All right. Now, I would like to invite everyone to join in a big round of applause for our religious education teachers. Thank you. And you may be seated. All right. Now, children, youth, religious education teachers, you may be dismissed to your classes. What an amazing opportunity to learn together. Maybe dismiss in a chill way, My friend Bill Lamar teaches that the mark of imperialism is when you are always a teacher and everyone else is always a student. In this time of joys and concerns, I want to first say that these teachers bear a different mark, that of a community of mutual learning and growth, whereas teachers, they receive the blessing of change, and each student has the capacity to illuminate something sacred in them and in the world. What a gift. In this time of joys and concerns, I want to uphold that all of you are welcome to come forward here in the front or in the back to light a candle of joy and concern at any time in our service. And I want to lift up the blessed names of some among us whom we have lost and worry for this week. Beginning with our beloved, stalwart, best of the best, Pat Wand, who passed away quite unexpectedly this week. This picture Joel Schrag took, I assume on one of the many travels that Pat shared through her work with our partner church here at River Road. Pat was a founding member of our partner church committee and a founding member for many of us of our commitments in social justice and peace building in the world. Pat had left just days before her passing to complete the second leg of the Santiago de Compostela Pilgrim Trail, having completed the first earlier. She lived this life as a pilgrim, always making a way toward greater depth and greater purpose. Her unexpected loss guts us to the core, as it does her colleagues around the DC region and the world. Pat, you might know, was the librarian at American University for many years. She essentially single-handedly built the intellectual infrastructure for library systems all around the Middle East, including in the United Arab Emirates. She served this world in myriad ways, and the latest object of her fervent devotion was her work as chair of the United States Peace Corps Museum. Pat's passing is just not okay. She filled so many places here in our hearts and in the world. Our hearts are with her and with her family and with our community while we grieve without daring to make sense of the loss. I also lift up today Steve Buck, who has entered hospice care this week. Steve Buck, a beloved and stalwart River Roader who is known in this place and in so many other places for his commitment to Middle East peace and for his faithful mentorship of a great many young men as they found ways to hold both their power and their vulnerability. Steve entered hospice care, where we were told, from his wife, Hala, carrying all of our love with him in and amidst the journey. And finally, this morning, as we prepare to hold all of our joys and concerns, those spoken and those which dwell in the silent sanctuary of our hearts, I am delighted to report that founding members Dwight and Carol Kramer's sixth granddaughter, Charlotte, will be ordained as a clergy person this weekend at the Chaplaincy Institute in Berkeley, California. She is Carol Muses, the first and only reverend so far from this family so formed by this place and by the Unitarianism that brought Dwight and Carol together so very long ago. I want to invite you, as you are able, to take a deep breath and a good seat, to practice some of what Quinn led us through, that invitation to find the peaceful places beneath the busy mind. Spirit of life and source of love, you do not ask that we be okay with everything in this world. You do not ask that we come to terms either with the suffering or the grave injustices of an empire of suffering. Instead, you ask that we go on, and that every day we find what piece of the sacred work is ours to do, what piece of the ebullient joy is ours to share, what piece of our calling is ours to reach out to one another and offer up to a world in need. This morning, we are holding so much. We hold the depth of our grief. We hold the delight in our children. We hold our faith in a renewed future founded on the principles of peace instilled in the hearts of the generations still rising to take their place at the helm of a different world. In this time and in this space, may it be enough. May our intention to hold it all be enough. And may the meaning we make in the brokenness come when, and only when, we are ready to find words for all that we have lost and for all that we yearn for together. Amen. If you want to give to something, give to the future. Give to the leaders who will embody everything that those who created this place embodied. The love, the graciousness, the dedication, the sheer labor, the centering of the soul from which good work arises. This morning in our time of offering, I want to invite you indeed to give generously as you are able to the work of Peace of Mind. We'll share slides about how you can give more. You know that you can follow the QR code that'll be up there. You can text to give at 73256. You can give in the baskets that are coming around the box in the back, and you can give online. There's a pull-down menu on our Give Now button in which you can click on Peace of Mind and invest not only in our values, but in a future in which we all might be kinder and safer and more whole. Please give as you are able. In contemporary Christian spirituality, it is often said, or more often sung to the thrumming rhythms of a backing band, that each and every person has a God-shaped hole in their souls, an emptiness, a hollow spot, reaching out for wholeness. The concept might indeed have found its clearest voice in Christian pop music from like a decade ago, but it doesn't originate there. Tracing its theological roots all the way back, at least, to Blaise Pascal, who wrote in the characteristic gender specificity of his time in 1662 of the human craving for the holy, saying in part, "What does this craving proclaim? But that there was once in man a true happiness, of which all that remains is the empty print and trace. This he tries in vain to fill with everything around him, seeking in things that are not there the help he cannot find in those that are, though none can help, since this space can only be filled with an infinite and immutable object. In other words, by God's own self." Now, my typical stance with such a claim, particularly when that claim is upheld by pop culture non-denominationalism, might best be described as snooty disdain. Yet another of the marketing ploys of the right. And yet the whole concept of a space within us, crying out, yearning, empty, and in need of something immutable to fill it. When I am honest with myself, that sounds a whole lot like life. Like my life, and from what I am so continually blessed to know of them, like many of your lives too. It sounds a lot like the lives of those we live and move and love among, something that can serve as a balm immutable to the persistent anxiety of each new day. And if there is not a God-shaped hole in my soul, which perhaps sounds a little oversimplified, I must admit there is an empty space in there somewhere. Something incomplete whose shape I cannot wholly know, but the presence of which I feel in the form of a great yearning for hope, for connection, for the in-reach of a persistent source of graciousness which I did not create and do not own. As our former intern minister, Amanda Poppy, has put it, this feeling, this yearning, this ache, it is like a call pulling us forward towards something we cannot quite see, certainly cannot possess. We yearn for a home we can never truly have, for a love that is only ours in dreams, for all that is beyond us, but that offers itself in glimpses. There is within us something that calls persistently and insistently for connection, for safety, for home, and by home, I mean a great number of things, almost none of which is necessarily attached to the physical space of the walls in which we live. When I say that we yearn for home, I mean that we yearn for something to belong to and somewhere in which to live out the implications of that belonging. I mean, we yearn for connection and commitment that transcends our own interests alone. When we feel it, we know it's there, this commanding presence we have yearned for all along. Harry Belafonte died this week. When I saw this image across my feed, well, that too, I wept. Because what I see in that image, did you know, by the way, that King and Harry Belafonte were extraordinary friends? They were irreverent, they were hilarious. You could not put them together at a public event because they would poke and prod and laugh with each other. When have you seen a picture of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Harry's friend Martin, laughing like that? When Martin was in town, he stayed at Harry's house. Harry kept a bottle of really good scotch just for him. They schemed and they worked together for the creation of a whole new world. They dreamed and spoke out their yearnings. They made art. They created beauty. And underneath all of it, do you know what they really were? Friends who were kind to each other. And so what did the world changer, the one who carved a way out of the wilderness, the one who had been to the mountaintop and dared to speak to us of what that vast vista of a whole new world looked like, what did he need to fill the empty space in his heart so he could keep up the good work of changing the world? He needed the kindness of his friend. The kindness of his friend, which in its own unique and abiding and immutable way was the clearest expression he may ever know of the very face of God. As progressive religious people, the whole and the soul might not always manifest in the vertical dimension toward a source we cannot name, though sometimes it does. We yearn still to know and to be known. And ultimately, perhaps all of that is really another name for kindness. The human kindness of friends and companions. The sort of kindness that above all reminds us that when we suffer and we worry and we work and we fear, we do not do these things alone, but are held in the palm of the gracious hands of our companions, sometimes extended by those close by, sometimes in the simplest and most unexpected ways. Thanks, Jeff. You can take it down, but I want to invite you all, just like pull it up on your computer, put it full screen, and sit with that image for a little while this week. The poet Naomi Shihab Nye, she writes of this kind of kindness, this encounter with the holy found in one another, this kindness that reaches out to fill the empty spaces in her poem by that title, Kindness. She says, before you know what kindness really is, you must lose things. Feel the future dissolve in a moment, like salt in a weakened broth. What you held in your hand, what you counted and carefully saved, all of this must go so that you know how desolate the landscape can be between the regions of that kindness. You must wake up with sorrow. You must speak to it until your voice catches the thread of all sorrow and you seize the cloth. Then it is only kindness that makes sense anymore. Only kindness that ties your shoes and sends you out into the day to mail the letters and purchase bread. Only kindness that raises its head from the crowd of the world to say, it is you I have been looking for, and then goes with you everywhere like a shadow or a friend. In an interview some years ago with Krista Tippett, the poet, Naomi Shihab Nye, she told the story of that poem and the great kindness that lay at the heart of it. It arose from an incident she experienced while on her honeymoon in Colombia. Shihab Nye and her husband, they were slated to travel for 3 months all over South America. They were brimming with excitement, the whole world opening up around them, when quite early on their own planned adventure of a lifetime, their tour bus was robbed, and the young couple lost everything and witnessed the rapid onset of great and terrible violence, the kind of loss that leaves you gasping for breath. So all of their plans and their backup plans, the easy mobility from one place to another, all the things they thought they could count on were gone in a moment. As Nye puts it, we didn't have passports, we didn't have money, we didn't have anything. They were dumbfounded in the way we often are after great loss or trauma or the unexpected interruption of our lives by the profound unkindness of circumstance. As Nye tells it, she and her husband were just standing there, alone and confused in the middle of the road, just standing there blinking into the hot afternoon air of a place that was suddenly strange to them and seemingly irrevocably hostile, when a local man came up the road, approached them. I guess he could see the disarray on our faces, Nye said. He was simply kind and just looked at us. What happened to you? He said in Spanish. And so they told their story, and that stranger looked sad. He listened for a long time, And after a while, he nodded, simply said, "I'm very sorry. I'm very, very sorry that happened." And then he turned and he walked up the road and he went on his way. Just like that. The stranger did not Good Samaritan them or anything. He didn't pull out big fat bills from his pocket or put them up in his own home with an enormous home-cooked meal or make it all better in any tangible way. He just saw the hurt on these human beings' faces, mirrored it back, and genuinely expressed sorrow by their side. He was kind to them. The kindness of his presence filled the void, if only for a moment, just long enough for them to figure out what to do next. Nye says that after the man walked up the road, they took some breaths, felt themselves to be blessed in some unnameable way, and made a plan. Her husband went back to the city to figure out the traveler's checks, remember those, and she sat down on a street corner and wrote that poem from a place in her soul that just then felt safer. I cannot claim that human kindness is a stand-in for a loving God. I will not draw false equivalencies, as honestly sometimes I do in this pulpit. But I can say that for people who relate meaningfully to the idea or presence of God, basic human kindness is perhaps the primary way that divine source actually shows up in our lives. And thus, the work of being a faithful people is the work of being very, very kind to one another, come what may. As perhaps many of you know, the Hebrew prophet Micah was once asked what was expected of God's people. Amid all the laws and mandates of the land, if they were to be whole at last, what was the work the people must do, they asked their prophet, to which Micah famously named what is required of us: to do justice, to love kindness, to walk humbly. The Hebrew word in use there for kindness, often translated as kindness in that middle line, to love kindness, it is chesed, which is usually used in reference to God's way of being toward the people. In familiar words, again, the God who meets the people with chesed is a just and merciful God, slow to anger and full of love. This is the spirit they sing about in those evangelical anthems with the youth pastors and their little guitars, the one that fills the empty God-shaped hole in the soul. But here in the ancient texts, we see that the same word is applied to our fundamental duties in this world: to embrace kindness, to live in a state that is just and merciful, slow to anger and full of love. In so doing, we take up perhaps the holiest of all callings: to fill the empty spaces in an often terrifying world with a healing deep enough to meet the most profound and fundamental yearnings. To love kindness is to meet the holy. To receive kindness in a way we cannot fully name is to see in one another the immutable and eternal face of the divine. Everything we do together, and I want to offer a great deal of gratitude to Schwai, our adult choir, our children's choir, our tech team, which is today Danny, Ajay, and Jeff up there. I want to thank Peace of Mind, including, of course, Cheryl and Linda, and Quinn, who is not in here anymore, but is like my inspiration for life. Let's offer our gratitude to everybody. And of course, to our religious education teachers, and guess what, folks? We're recruiting religious education teachers for next fall right now. So it's not too early to just get on board, We could really use the help. There are so many ways to be connected with the life of the congregation, to help create it and shape it as we move forward together. Today, I want to lift up that we're continuing our going deeper conversations in Fellowship Hall. We have coffee hour after the service. You can head out back there. And for some of us, just the general mingling is a delight. For some of us who are actually not as extroverted as we seem, it's really very scary. So one option you have is to actually sit down at one of the tables in the Fellowship Hall where you can engage in a deeper conversation about a prompt that we offer here in the service. Today, our deep question is this: what makes you feel most alive? So have at it. Today, also in the Fellowship Hall, there are cupcakes for our teachers. And I promised Ajay gets one, so somebody has to get one for him before it's all over. Finally, an important way that our congregation forms and grows our connections is through activities like the Spring Services Auction. This year, our Services Auction is actually going to be happening from June 4th to June 18th. You can bid online, but we need to be receiving those things to put into the Services Auction now. Truly, this event brings old friends and new together to showcase our skills and our talents and to cook for each other while all benefiting our congregation. It is a marvelous excuse to have a great time among friends and help River Road. You have so much to give, even if you don't think you do. So I invite you to spend a little bit of time to dig deep and think about what you might lift up for the good of your community. I make sock monkeys, though I still owe Marcia and Dave Leonard one from last year's Services Auction. I always put a sermon in the Services Auction, which is endlessly exciting, the ideas that you come up with. I believe I say, within the boundaries of reasonably good taste, you can help Reverend Nancy choose a sermon. If you are short of ideas, the auction committee has plenty to share with you, and you can fill out a donation form on the website before May 21st to get that all set. Finally, as we prepare to take this light we have once again gotten together and kindled out into the waiting world, may the truth that makes us free, the love that casts out fear, and the hope that never dies guide us and those we love and those we do not love forward together till the day spring breaks and the shadows flee away. Amen.